The world of anime has something for everyone since the medium covers all literally genres and subgenres. Some series are famed for their heartfelt drama such as Fruit Basket, while series such as My Hero Academia are heavy on action. In these anime, bad things may happen, from injuries and death to heartbreaks, horrors and emotional trauma. These anime are usually appealing, but some series take the opposite approach and work just as well. Certain anime have a minimal violence, drama or horror in them, and thus nothing bad ever happens in them. The characters may still experience everyday mishaps and goof-ups, but nothing really bad ever happens to them, and that can make for a pleasant and relaxing watch. So without any further ado, let's start with our list of top 10 animes where nothing bad ever happens. On the 10th number, the anime name is Laid Back Camp. After a long tiring week of school or work, maybe a getaway is something that you need. How about camping? Traveling and exploring somewhere far from the city is actually not a bad idea. Yuru Camp is probably one of the most relaxing anime you can find, giving audiences traveling and camping experiences, which takes place in Yamanashi and its nearby prefectures, when one of the most popular landmarks in Japan, Mount Fuji, is visible, and of course with cute high school girls. After this show's completion, you might want to pack your bags and try on going camping outside at least once in a lifetime. Rin Shima, nicknamed as Shimarin, while on her usual camping, she met Nadeshiko Kagamihara, who had just moved to Yamanashi. And that is how just the story starts. Yuru Camp offers audience a unique theme of camping. The story is mainly about high school girls who go on traveling and camping around Yamanashi and its nearby prefectures. On the 9th number, the anime name is Burn the Witch. Although citizens of London view dragon as a fairy tale myth, statistics confirm that 72% of the city's deaths are caused by these grotesque beings. Unable to see them, the public is oblivious to their existence. However, in a mirror dimension to front London, exists a place where dragons can be seen with the naked eyes, Reverse London. Nini Spankole is a member of the popular girls club, but in Reverse London, she works as a witch at Wingbind, an organization that dispatches agents to exterminate the beast and protect the citizens of both the Londons using magic. Nini and her partner Noel, in addition to their jobs, safeguards Baldo Parks, a young man with an odd connection to dragons. Thanks to the Wingbind's hard work, there were no fatal dragon attacks for almost a century now. But the peace shatters when Baldo's presence unexpectedly causes a dark dragon to wreak havoc in the city. The witches are further inconvenienced when Nini's troublesome former bandmate appears in Reverse London, in tandem with another powerful dragon. Of course, this all plot sounds too complicated, but trust me, this is one of those animes where nothing bad ever happens and it will be a calm and peaceful watch for you. On the 8th number, the anime name is Azumanga Daiho. Azumanga Daiho is one of the funniest anime I have ever seen, period. Azumanga takes place during the high school years of the handful of girls. No, it's not a girl-only school, but the only main character are all girls. The entire cast all runs the gamut of moeness, ranging from super chibi to a girl that thinks she is not cute. The story is basically a slice of life anime, basically meaning it's a Saint Delph-esque sitcom surrounding high school girls. There's no real story element and thankfully no multiple parts episode are around here. Just short and simple, hilarious situations that can be finished in 30 minutes. Even the OVAs are hell of short, but at least they get a point across when they do it hilariously. The way they create their characters are really one of a kind. You will want to know more of how these girls happens to befriend each other before or during high school. Character progression is really good, each character have their own role to play for every other character and you can really tell by how they react to each other and try or don't try their best to make it past high school. On the 7th number, the anime is Komi Can't Communicate. Hito Tadano is an ordinary boy who heads into his first day of high school with a clear plan, to avoid trouble and to do his best to blend in with others. Unfortunately, he fails right away when he takes the seat beside school's Madonna. His peers now recognize him as someone to eliminate for a chance to sit next to the most beautiful girl in the class. Gorgeous and graceful with long dark hair, Komi is universally adored and immensely popular despite her mysterious persona. However, unbeknownst to everyone, she has crippling anxiety and communication disorder which prevents her from wholeheartedly socializing with her classmates. When left alone in a classroom, a chain of events forces Komi to interact with Tadano through writing on the blackboard, as if in one-way conversation. Being the first person to realize that she cannot communicate properly, Tadano picks up the chalk and begins to write as well. He eventually discovers that Komi's goal is to make 100 friends during her time in high school. To this end, he decides to lend her a helping hand and thus also becoming her first ever friend. On the 6th number, the anime name is Nichijou. Nichijou primarily focuses on the daily antics of trio of childhood friends, high school girls Mio Naganohara, Yuko Aioi and Mai Minakami, whose stories soon intertwine with the young and genius Hakase Shinomone, her robot caretaker Nano and their talking cat Sakamoto. With every passing day, the lives of these 6 as well as the many people around them experience both calm of the normal life and the insanity of the absurd. Walking to the school, being bitten by a talking crow, spending time with friends, and watching the principal suplex a deer. They are all in a day's work in the extraordinary everyday lives of those in Nichijou. The humor itself is very simplistic, almost to a fault, and one would normally attribute this as one of the Nichijou's flaws. But this is of course until you remember that Nichijou translates to my ordinary life. And as such, the simplicity of the jokes are a fitting homage to the show's title and premise. Many of the jokes are simply exaggerated normal events like missing the train or a waiter forgetting your order, relying on witty dialogue delivery and clever timing to get the humor across. Some may consider this as a hit or a miss sort of comedy, which is only a fair judgment, but if you are into this, you will definitely enjoy Nichijou. On the 5th number, the anime name is Arya the Masterpiece. Neo Venezia, the pride of the planet Aqua, is a quiet city filled with canals and easygoing people. Many people operate their gondolas on the canals and giving tour to tourists and locals alike. But the most famous of them is Arya Company. Follow the adventures of Arya's young apprentice Akari as she learns the tricks and trades from her beautiful senior Alicia, together with her friends Aika and Alice, apprentices of rival companies, and their seniors Akira and Athena. They train their skills as gondoliers, meeting new peoples and learning new things about the city each day. In a world and culture highlighting constant action, adventure and excitement as the correct way of life, Arya is like a deep breath of fresh air. So definitely Arya the Masterpiece is worth your time. On the 4th number, the anime name is Chi's Sweet Home. The story is pretty clear cut. A cute kitten named as Chi gets lost and separated from her mother, and a human family that lives nearby finds her and decides to adopt her. Unfortunately, pets are not allowed in the apartment's complex, so the Yamada family must keep Chi out of sight, especially from the landlady. The third quarter of the 143-minute long episodes gets kind of repetitive and fillerish, but once you get over this small hurdle and reach the last quarter of the anime, you will remember why you stuck with the series so long. Chi's Sweet Home is not only entertaining but enlightening for future cat owners like me. I had no idea about some of the things I would go through while owning a cat until I watched this anime. Unless you totally hate cats, you should give this anime a try. Even though it's hefty 104 episodes, the series is only a little over 5 hours in length. Heck, even if you have 30 minutes to spare, you can zip through the first 10 episodes to see if you like it or not. In my opinion, Chi's Sweet Home is the best anime about a pet. It's suitable for all ages and you may even learn few things about cats from this anime. On the 3rd number, the anime name is Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro. Bullying and anything similar has always been regarded as a sensitive subject. For that reason, most anime and manga tackles the topic with a rather soulman approach, as they should. Serious issues akin to bullying shouldn't be viewed as a medium to make obscene jokes. unless you make it obvious that you aren't ridiculing the subject matters in question. Don't Toy With Me Miss Nagatoro seemingly does the opposite. According to a part of the audience, it treats a heavy topic like bullying in a comedic manner and makes light of it. Chances are that you will either enjoy this anime as some sort of guilty pleasure or think it's another vapid ecchi anime with no substance whatsoever. And honestly, this is one of the few cases where I can understand both sides of the argument. Nagatoro-san is pretty much fated by the polarizing amount of its audience, so the controversy surrounding it isn't surprising at all. However, despite this and the fact that I am not generally fond of this kind of titles, I found myself enjoying the show a fair amount. I was surprised at myself for enjoying it this much, but in retrospect, Nagatoro-san actually does have some praiseworthy things about it, and I legitimately believe that it's a good show. On the second number, the anime name is My Senpai Is Annoying. Ever wondered what is it like to see the office work environment in a slice of life comedy? Now you can see it with your own eyes because My Senpai Is Annoying delivers the satisfaction of entertainment between two unlikely co-workers. At first glance, My Senpai Is Annoying might trigger some red flags due to the appearance of the two main leads. Takeda looks like someone who is old enough to be Futaba's dad, but don't let fool you. Futaba is older than she looks despite having the appearance of a teenager. Coming into this show, the expectation should be open-minded. Be prepared to watch an anime without a complex plot because this anime has a simple premise. In fact, the anime doesn't even try to hide the fact that Futaba has a crush on Takeda. Everyone seems to know this except for Takeda himself. Nonetheless, Futaba is the one who is often annoyed by Takeda when he teases her. She believes her senpai treats her like a little sister, and indeed, their relationship does feel like siblings. Like despite the show advertising it as a romantic comedy. But will they or won't they is a question I'm sure all the viewers will be asking to themselves as each episode progresses forward. However, I will say that you should temper your expectations if you are expecting an actual love story. This isn't one of those dramatic rom-coms that uses romance as a main selling plot. It relies much more on comedy to highlight our characters' daily lives and how they interact with each other. So definitely watch this anime if you are into this. On the first number, the anime name is The Way of the House Husband. Who would have ever thought that the most feared gangster of his time now spends his day as a modest house husband, seemingly giving up the way of the Yakuza. The legendary immortal dragon Tatsu, best known for his prolific skirmish against rival gangs, has abruptly vanished. Unbeknownst to the most, however, Tatsu is currently staying at an apartment with his wife, doing his best to live a peaceful life. Donning his trusty apron, Tatsu is now striving to become an efficient homemaker. Because of this, he has mastered the required skills, be it cooking the most delicious dishes, making sure to get the best deals of supermarket and everything in between, garnering the surprise of both of his former subordinates and enemies alike. Despite being a man with quite controversial past, Tatsu's new way of life will only be more eccentric from here on out. So if you want something to calm your mind and watch some light-hearted fun, this is a must-watch anime for you. And that's it for today's video guys. That was the video about top 10 list of anime where nothing bad ever happens. If you want more top 10 animes like this, check out my playlist of top 10 animes over here. And if you enjoyed this video, then definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel because I post daily anime content about top 10 top 5 listings, anime reviews, recommendations and many more things. And that's for today's video guys. If you enjoyed, please subscribe and I will see you in the next one. Sayonara.